everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled to guide you through this one because, honestly, we are looking at something truly fascinating today. We're going to dive deep into a very specific, highly detailed spiritual text to unpack a narrative that blends cosmic science fiction concepts with some really intricate theology. Our goal here is to neutrally explore the architecture of these ideas, exactly as they're presented in the source, and map out a pretty extraordinary cosmic history. Let's get right into it. So the source material we're digging into is Ryuho Okawa's book, Secrets of the Galactic Federation. Now, just a quick glance at the cover reveals the kind of bold claims we're going to be examining. It talks about massive UFO fleets, extraterrestrial beings from the Pleiades and Vega, and an ancient intergalactic battle against evil cosmic forces. Specifically, though, today we are zeroing in on Chapter 2. This chapter details a highly unusual investigative process, what the text calls an alien reading, which focuses on uncovering the absolute oldest cosmic roots, dwelling within the author's third son, Yuta Okawa. But right before we get into the actual mechanics of how this reading was conducted, I want you to just stop and consider the core premise driving this entire chapter. What if our human souls hold ancient, hidden cosmic memories? The text essentially proposes that if you tap deeply enough into a person's subconscious, you can bypass their present everyday human identity entirely and access the memories of the oldest cosmic entity residing in their soul's lineage. It is a wildly provocative concept, right? And it sets the stage perfectly for the enigma we're exploring today. To navigate all of this, here is our roadmap for today. 1. The setup. 2. The revelation. 3. Cosmic battles. And 4. Earthly connections. Section 1. The setup. Invoking the alien reading. Okay, so the methodology detailed in Chapter 2 involves a very precise 3-step process to conduct this alien reading. First, they enlist a spirit guide, specifically the spirit of the famous American clairvoyant Edgar Cayce. He's there to act as an observer and essentially validate what's being said. Second, the subject of the reading itself. They are tapping into the subconscious of Yuta Okawa. The author actually notes that because his third son hadn't been heavily investigated before, he wanted to see exactly what truth would naturally emerge from him. And third, the main objective. The author is attempting to bypass all recent past lives and speak directly to the absolute oldest cosmic root residing deep within Yuta's subconscious. To kick things off, the author begins with this formal, really intense invocation. The transcript captures the exact phrasing, and it goes like this. Soul of the oldest universe, soul of the deepest cosmic bottom, please emerge and show your form to us and convey your words and thoughts to us. It's an incredibly dramatic moment in the text. It sets this tone of deep reverence and anticipation for whatever ancient consciousness might actually respond to the call. And then, the text documents a highly specific detail. About 30 seconds of profound silence. You can literally imagine the tension in the room during this pause. They're just waiting to see if this deep, subconscious cosmic memory is actually going to surface and, in what form it will eventually present itself. Section 2. The revelation. The commander emerges. Okay, let's dive into this because this is where the narrative vastly expands in scale. The text gives us this striking visual description of the entity that finally broke that silence, the cloaked supreme commander of the Andromeda Galaxy. It's described with this imposing, heavy presence, complete with starry motifs on the cloak. The text portrays this entity as a staunch protector of cosmic justice, someone who commands massive fleets across the entire universe. But right in the middle of this profound reading, the author questions the entity about its somewhat unusual physical appearance. So the interrogator basically notes that the entity looks a bit like a giant bear, which is kind of funny, right? But the commander clarifies this brilliantly. It explains that this is essentially an Earth standard mode. The entity states that its true form is far too powerful and abstract for us to handle, so it deliberately adopts a humanoid, albeit massive and slightly bear-like appearance, a form that symbolizes sheer strength, just so human observers can safely perceive and comprehend its power without being totally overwhelmed. It's a fascinating concept. It's almost like a cosmic user interface for the human mind. Now, the really crucial point here is how this ancient being fits into the broader theology of the text. When asked about its relationship to El Cantere, who is the primary deity in this spiritual framework, the commander reveals a highly complex hierarchy. The commander states that, strictly in terms of the cosmic timeline, it is actually much, much older than El Cantere. However, paradoxically, it functions as a localized, specialized manifestation of El Cantare's courage. Basically, it exists to embody the combative, protective aspects of that primary deity. Section 3. Cosmic Battles, Defending the Universe. Once the commander firmly establishes its identity, it starts recounting its vast intergalactic history of warfare. And honestly, the scale described in the text is absolutely staggering. The commander maps out ancient front lines across multiple star systems. It talks about originating in the Andromeda Galaxy, which, to put it in perspective, the text notes is 2.3 million light-years away. From there, the commander details establishing bases in the Magellanic Clouds, specifically near the Zeta star. The transcript also recounts these intense, repeated battles in the Alpha Centauri system, fighting desperate conflicts around the Alpha, Beta, and Gamma stars. So, yeah, we aren't just talking about a local skirmish here. The text is laying out a sweeping, multi-galactic theater of war. And the tactics of these cosmic wars, they are equally staggering. To combat this relentless enemy, identified as the Reptilians, the commander explains a strategy of forming alliances with the consciousness of planets that do not harbor biological life. They do this to create these vast, defensive barricades across space. The text details a brutal back-and-forth struggle. We're talking about being overrun by reptilian attacks, orchestrating narrow escapes, and then launching massive counteroffensives to recapture lost star systems. Section 4. Earthly Connections, Tying the Cosmos to Shinto. After expanding our view across literally millions of light-years, the text suddenly pulls all these sci-fi concepts rapidly back down to Earth. When the interviewer asks the commander if it is ever actually incarnated here, the commander confirms that it has. But then, it ties its cosmic identity directly to the central creator gods of Japanese Shintoism. The text claims that the supreme commander of Andromeda is the true extraterrestrial identity behind Ame no Meina Kanushi and Kuni no Tokatachi, the primordial deities recorded in Japan's oldest historical chronicles, the Kojiki and the Nihon Shoki. So the source material is actively synthesizing ancient Earth religion with this ongoing, sprawling narrative of a galactic federation and cosmic defense. Which leaves us with this final, really provocative thought to ponder. By treating an individual's subconscious as a repository for millions of years of intergalactic history, and by reframing ancient Earth mythology as the ongoing work of cosmic commanders, the text offers a radically expanded view of what human consciousness may actually contain. It is a remarkably intricate puzzle of ideas that we've mapped out today. So what does this all mean for our understanding of who we are? Well, that's something to chew on. Thank you so much for joining me today to explore the complex architecture of this fascinating source material.